Oh, hello, good people of the internet. Welcome to Bonus Stage. My name is Josh. You are here for a listening party, and I am joined by three of the Mad Gears themselves, Cameron, Josh, and JJ. How are you three doing tonight?
Good.
Good.
Solid.
Yeah, you should be solid because you guys have just released a solid album for the second time.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Symphony of the Fight revisited. Yeah, I guess one fight was not enough, so it's time to have Rocky Two coming in here and singing about fighting and conflicts and well all sorts of things. It's
Overcoming.
overcoming the opposite of edging. But
Bye.
all right, well, that's the show. Thank you so much. We'll see you later. Oh my god. Yeah. Anyways, we're here to talk about something a little bit more wholesome. That is video game music. Yeah. So we've had you guys on the show a couple times. Last time we had you on for the Let's Take This Outside EP, which turned into a bit of a party. We had you on previously as well for Mad Gear 64. You guys have been pumping out lots of great stuff before and since. So yeah, super excited to have you back on Let's Listen tonight. Yeah, why don't we start digging in a little bit to this release and talk a little bit about why you're revisiting Symphony of the Fight.
Sure. Well, so about sometime in 2021, I'm not really sure when exactly, but I started doing a little more of the mixing for the Mad Gear. And after getting a lot more experience with it and learning that I enjoyed it, I was starting to kind of like get way more zeroed in on, the kind of vibe I was imagining for this band from the beginning, but didn't have the vocabulary to explain. And I mean, it ended up just being lots of compression, really. But
Gain staging and compression.
What?
I said gain staging and compression. Yeah.
Or lack of grain staging. Really just being ham-fisted with production decisions, honestly. But, once a lot of that stuff got done and I wanted an excuse to work on something else, I was, just kind of looking back through our catalog and thought, well, maybe some of these could use a second look. A lot of the performances are really solid. It was obviously a time when we were more horn laden because that, saying horny sounds weird, but like we had, a little bit more of that kind of stuff going on. And I just thought, well, what if we took a second pass and like redid some of the drums and bass or a little bit of the guitar and, even took some of the tracks from scratch and just see how it comes out. And this is what we came up with.
Yeah. Well, for a little bit of history, folks, the original Symphony of the Fight was released in July of 2019. You guys had been working on it reportedly for like 16 months leading up to the release there. So quite a long production process. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that was one of your first releases, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was our second album. And it's part of the reason that's so far stretched out is because we would record 2 or 3 in a day and put those out on YouTube as individual performances. And a lot of those are still, I think all of them are still up. And eventually, once we got through that, we were like, okay, well, now we should collect everything and put them in the thing. So yeah, that's kind of how that went.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, yeah, you guys have had some change ups since then. You've had some new members come and be a part of the band. You've had some, unfortunately, leave, etc. That's just kind of how bands go, of course. And
you're telling me, buddy.
Yeah. And of course, during that process, there's like some evolution in like a band's sound and their chemistry as well. Yeah, and like if I'm not mistaken, then this is definitely like something that you've done to kind of like bring that release up to where the band is today.
Yeah. And again, it's just like part of the joy of doing this is like, again, going back to, original ideas about the band is, my inspiration for even wanting to do it was a band called The Advantage. And if anybody is familiar with them, it's just very indie sounding. I don't think this was their intent necessarily, but to me, it's like almost punk rock. And once I started getting into like checking out what other people were doing cover wise with video game music, it just was a little more, I'll just say dream theater ish. And dream theater's not my deal. Again, if people are into that, that's great. But I grew up on, Nirvana and grunge and stuff like that. And so it's only natural for me to want to take things a little more in that direction. So part of the joy of being in this band, especially being in it for so long, is like slowly taking steps in that direction for at least most of the tracks. And then this album just being the latest iteration of like, yes, it's also bringing in new members like JJ and Minyard, but and kind of bringing everything to the forefront. But at the same time, it's also about like the sound, the attitude, and just making music that's a little on the mean side. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we've got lots of mean music to listen to tonight, folks. This album is 12 tracks long, and we're going to be breaking this down by every 2 tracks that we're listening to tonight. So if you gents are down, I would love to start digging into this sweet release. Coming up first, we're going to be listening to TMNT4, Turtles
Sweet
in
Release,
Time.
one of the album names we toyed around with, so I'm glad you brought
Release. Screw everything that came before. This is now Sweet Release. Yeah. Oh my God.
I feel like everything we're saying is just an opposite of edging. Yeah.
Now it's Sweet Re-Release, so yeah.
Sweet re-release.
Oh man, that is overcoming. That is. Sorry, the first track is going to be Turtles in Time, the Technodrome Let's Kick Shell. That's a great way to kick things off, literally. And then going into Donkey Kong Country's Gangplank Galleon, King K. Rool's theme. Well, if you guys know the drill, then all I have to say is let's...
Bonus stage van!
Well, that's amazing. Oh, hey, there we go. We got JJ back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. And that, folks, I think that was kind of like a perfect snapshot of what this album is trying to do, because you had the Ninja Turtles track, which purportedly had all original tracks from Symphony of the Fight version 1, except for the bass. And then what we heard with Gangplank Galleon, that was all new tracks with the new members. So that is kind of like as much contrast as we're going to see, I think, in a single listening block tonight. Yeah, that's really cool. I love seeing the footage from. Was that the original take then that you released to YouTube way back when of that
Yes.
song? Yeah.
Yes. So that was probably, we did a batch that was, Vig, you may have to help me remember, but I think it was Turtles in Time, Gremlins, and Sonic Spinball.
Yeah.
One day, the first time we tracked stuff at my house. And yeah, most of the original, it's what you're hearing in those songs is mostly the original stuff. And that was like the beginning of production. So 2017, sometime in there.
Old tracks. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they still sound good. And since, I mean, this is definitely going to be part of the conversation as we're moving along with these tracks here. Like, what I mean, besides re-recording the bass, what did you do to kind of like bring those multi-tracks up to your modern day standards?
Well, I think a lot of it was just adding there's just a lot more grit on everything. The drums across the board are like way more aggressive. And I think there's probably going to be a time I look back on these recordings in 5-10 years and say, I think maybe they're too aggressive. But part of the fun of this band is being obnoxious and taking chances and just being like, who cares? Let's make it crazy. So, so I think that's one of the big differences, is just a lot of this stuff was just kind of run through the grinder as far as like putting lots of, distortion, saturation, compression on things. It's like, I hope I didn't overdo it, but at the same time, a part of me is like, I kind of hope I did overdo it just to like make an impression on people. 'Cause I just feel like, it should stand out a little bit. So, yeah.
I think the live, like the recording process itself too, has been a little more forgiving with this time around, because before it would always be every pedal, all the amps, like what is our truest tone that we have when we're live. Whereas now our live set, it's still aggressive and like it sounds good, but with this we just kind of went interface straight in and just got some clean bass and then maybe a fuzz bass and just got to layer them right, instead of just having everything in my arsenal going, just muddying everything up. I think you get a better tone.
Nice. A little more headroom.
Yeah. So yeah, the ones where you're seeing those videos of us playing in my house, like that was all live. Not much, at least to my knowledge, on the original release. Almost no overdubs, no editing of any kind, really. So it's like there for everyone, to see your nakedness. And it definitely showed at times. So yeah.
For sure showed.
Yeah. So when we did something like Gangplank, that's way more like, things are edited a little bit, at least for the drums, because I needed it. But yeah, Vig was just the guitar and bass where I had a DI to work with, and as well as the amp signals, and it was like sandbox. Like I got to just play around and find stuff that not only was true to both the musicians, like obviously Helvig and Justin, like what they sound like naturally, but also what was going to fit well in the context of these mixes. So that was super fun.
Mm-hmm. So from the way you're talking about it, it almost sounds like you guys handled all of the recording just kind of like internally. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty much the only time anyone has mixed or mastered for us was we had a Battletoads release earlier last year that was done by Viking Guitar. He mixed and mastered it. And then this album re-release was mastered by a good friend of ours, Jason Dietz. So, yeah.
The king, dude. The king.
Yeah, Jason is like he's like the where we're from, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. He's like the guy around here. Like everybody knows who he is. He's been around since the '90s. Like, you
Dude,
know,
he's an absolute hometown hero, and like he's a monster at bass and just recording and everything in general. I'm sorry, guys. This is cracking me up, man. Is anyone else seeing man here right
yes,
now? Like, hopping
Oh,
in his car.
Maynard,
we
what are you
can we
doing,
can bring
buddy?
him in if we want.
Talking
What?
about. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah, we
can.
can hear you. Coming
Can you hear my
live
air
from the
conditioner
highway.
running?
Awesome, man.
This is quality programming, I must say.
Yeah, nothing but
Incredible.
quality here on BS.
That's sorry. I just left a rehearsal, so sorry. I'm just popping in.
No, you're good, man. Do you need to like get home and get somewhere safe?
Yeah.
I'm in my car. It's pretty safe.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Who's that guy? I don't know. He's like blowing up right now because he made some stupid mistake of like zooming into like a trial.
Oh
or,
yeah,
like,
he
Oh,
zoomed
right.
into
extended
his.
license and like
Called
he's
in
clearly driving as he's like joining
with
this
a
trials.
suspended license. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. But that's okay because that won't happen to you because we really can't see your face at all.
Yeah. My license isn't revoked yet.
Congrats. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool. We'll see what we can do
Perfect.
about that. Yeah. Any other like standout points about the Ninja Turtles or the Gangplank Galleon track? Special little bits. Give us the juice. I mean, we're revisiting this, so you know.
I like
Was it?
give us the juice, baby. Come on,
Come on,
man.
give me some
Was
juice.
it?
Hickory duck.
Was it
Uh,
originally your idea, Cameron, or Justin's, to do the revision on that bridge? Because when we first were playing that in our jam space, we were doing in the breakdown area. I was just playing Led Zeppelin.
We're just playing the immigrant song.
Yeah, I was just playing Immigrant Song on that part.
And then Chris would come in on sax. It was really but I'm glad we changed it because on record that would be pretty dumb. Yeah, I don't remember whose idea it was other than us all collectively being like, we can't continue to do this.
Yeah, it just got tiresome.
It's too far. I don't even remember whose idea it was to bring in the different themes, but I'm glad you asked that because it brings us to the arrangement, which I really like this arrangement. I feel like it's everything's very snappy on it. And obviously we do all the original stuff and then we bring in that original Donkey Kong theme and it gets a little wild at the end. Like there's a lot of stuff going on, but I just think it really worked out great. And it's always been one of our more popular, like in terms of video views, in terms of crowd reaction when we play it live. Like people have always really liked that one. So it's
when we originally released it, there was that one guy on YouTube who was just like, bass is too loud. Like a few people hated it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, usually you only get the hate comments on videos that blow up. Like, if you got something that's got 200 views or whatever, no one's on there complaining about how the mix sounds or the fact that you missed that mode or whatever. But yeah, I mean, honestly, one of the more entertaining things about being in this band is like internet hate, like people just being mad at the world and taking it out on your YouTube video. I think
one of the things that keeps me up at night is someone getting onto one of our videos and going, "Holy hipster hell, just because you can doesn't mean you have to."
What? I don't know what that means. Honestly, I think we're gonna watch we're gonna watch that one last because it was on Symphony of the Night, Dracula's castle theme.
Yeah, it was.
So,
it was.
we're doing the same thing we're always doing, which is just being idiots. Like,
I love it. It makes me so happy.
Somebody made that comment. It's mind blowing, but also very, very funny. So, Yeah, love it.
Amusing as long as you're able to distance yourself from it a little bit, right?
As a bass player, the bass too loud comment actually was kind of that's a good way to upset a bass player. But
Yeah.
other than that, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. Like you guys don't get to be heard enough most of the time. Oh
Yeah.
my god. Oh, that's amazing. Well, we've got another couple of tracks coming up here. But before we do, folks, I have to just take a moment to admire this incredible cover art. Yeah, this is gorgeous. Like you guys are all very lovely and illustrated. And of course, just like the weathering, as it were, on the vinyl is just awesome. Yeah, I'm really impressed. What was like was this just like a revision of the original album art, or was this newly commissioned for the release?
This is just a slightly altered version of the original artwork. The original artwork was done by a buddy of mine named James Mangrum, who's just insanely talented and in all kinds of artistic areas. Like he's a sculptor. He made me this amazing Vega mask. Like he's just done all kinds of crazy stuff. And then it was colored in by this artist that goes by Mako Z or Mako Z. And so we just, for the re-release, we did that like cheesy aging thing and then added the little Obi strip just for fun. That was a suggestion from Ian Cowell, actually. If anyone don't know Ian, he's a really silly dude and he's very much on the same wavelength that we are in terms of like just being a goofball. So I thought that was a fantastic idea. So we went ahead and did that.
Oh my god, I cannot wait to find out what that actually says in Japanese. I'm going to be...
Dude, please let me know. Please, God.
I get like the red text, I can't really understand. It ends in shimas, which is just like the way that they end like a verb, basically. But that katakana on the left in white, I'm definitely going to be just trying to scrape back through all of my memories of learning Japanese and see if I can figure that out before the interview.
Well, we can reveal it by the end if you haven't come up with it.
Yeah, there we go. And folks, yeah, I should also mention before we move on, this album is out already. So you can go and catch it on Bandcamp. Definitely go and pick it up. It's just buy a digital copy for $5 US or more. Definitely suggest doing more if you can. Supporting the arts is absolutely important, and we want to make sure the Mad Gear are here tomorrow to keep being mad and gearing up for awesome albums.
Real quick, I'm going to wedge in that if you buy like all of our music, it's still under $10. So
That's
if you
dumb.
have any of our stuff, just jump on that. It's like $9.75 for everything we've ever released. So
Cam's told me it's great to work out too if you're into that kind of thing.
Well, that is a bad financial decision for you guys. That is a great financial decision for everybody listening. So yeah, definitely go on over and do that. Some incredible stuff on there. Yeah, we're gonna listen to more of that if you are working out or not. But we've got tracks from Super Metroid and Bad Dudes coming up. Yeah, I love this Upper Brinstar, the Jungle Floor theme from Super Metroid. You guys have done it really well. And Bad Dudes, I mean, that's just like your aesthetic generally. So we're gonna.
Is this the Bad Dudes video? I think it is, Cam.
Yeah, the new one.
All right, sweet, awesome.
Nice.
With your hair.
So that's the premiere of it right now.
Well, yeah, we won't officially put it out probably till next week or something. But yeah, people watching tonight get a nice little sneak peek.
Sick, very cool.
Exclusive. I love it. Awesome. Well, with that in mind, folks, let's
Stop doing this to me.
Bonus day!
Let's stop doing this to me. my god, amazing! Oh, what the heck is going on, Minyard? You're upside down.
I don't even see him.
I don't see him either. This
Oh,
is
it must be
madness,
because
and I love it.
he's in the upside down world. All right. Oh my god. That's beautiful. All right. Hey, the gang is almost all here. That's amazing. Oh man. Well, that was a really solid couple of songs. We had the Metroid track. Love the way that one sounds, by the way.
Thank you.
You guys gave me a note that that this one has a slightly quote unquote artificial vibe that feels fitting in a weird way. And I mean, like for a dancey track like that one, like you definitely want to have some nice crispness in your production. But what exactly do you mean when you say it sounds a little artificial?
Well, like again, in the fun of adding effects and maybe taking things too far or whatever, that one, this new version, like the bass has a little bit of like some octave effect going on, like not enough for it to be super in your face, but there's a little bit going on there. And with the drums, they kind of have, it sounds a little like, I don't know, 80s or something to me. Like there's a lot of, I guess, compressed ambience. And when you get a lot of that sound, it kind of makes it sound drum machiney in a way. And it wasn't like a thing where I was setting out to do that. But once I heard it, I was like, this kind of works. Because, Metroid is very like, the whole, what's the H.R. Geiger vibe? Biomechanical.
Right.
It felt like the sound, obviously Metroid is inspired by Alien, and like this sound kind of had that same vibe to it in a way that I can't really explain well. But yeah, that's kind of it.
Oh, that's great. And I love that vibe. Excellent job on the bass, especially there. But yeah, on that track, we had retracked bass, drums, and guitar. Rest were original, or well, I guess the sax essentially. The horniness of it was preserved.
This was definitely one I was very happy when Cam came to me and asked if to retrack it, because there aren't a lot of tracks that I get to play slap bass on. And this one was always one that with the original take, it just felt very DI and dry, just like very slappy and stringy. So when he added that kind of octave to it, since I have an octave pedal, I can apply that to a live setting. But it kind of thickens it up and it makes it feel a little more robust. So you're not just sitting here and just kind of this clanky slap tone. But yeah, it's like, I think it's worlds better from the original at that point, because there was just not much we could do with the original. It is what it is. It's a slap, Yeah. So
you get what you get. You get that thick freaking transient, and you're like, oh, that's what I got.
Oh yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And I will say a lot of like an embarrassing amount of the drums, bass, and guitar is like quantized. I'm not a quantized everything person at all, but this one I was like, those do like it has to be on, because there were parts where it wasn't, and I was like, it just doesn't, it's not working for me. And so yeah, it kind of lends to that robotic kind of quality, and again, I think it ultimately worked for the vibe.
Yeah, definitely. And I take it the original did not have those quantized sensibilities. So just like, especially when you're revisiting something, as it were, just being able to kind of give it those polishing touches. Really good. And then of course, Bad Dudes, your guys' aesthetic, 100%. We have a note here that you guys were trying to chase an old school thrash vibe, and definitely portrayed in the video. Definitely heard it in the production of the track as well.
I'm glad.
And that was a new video that was all premiered here. So yeah, really love to see the modern lineup. You guys all rocking out in somebody's garage, filming that on your iPad and iPhones, etc. That was awesome.
Yeah, I think that definitely catches the vibe of it. It's one of the best tracks to just, especially for one that I play with a pick on. It's fun to just like throw down and just be strumming and just like get into it. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's one of the tracks where I get to like really, I just kind of, it's very simplistic. So I'll just lose my mind every time we're playing it, and I'll just be moving the whole time. It feels really good to do. It just feels heavy and fast. So
Yeah, right on. Yeah, and that video, so that's going to be coming out sometime next week. I love that you guys even went with like the classic like 4:3 aspect ratio, keeping it truly old school. Yeah, and just really good to see you all rocking out together. Was this like the first music video that you guys have recorded with the current lineup?
The first videos we did with the current lineup were ones for the previous release. So we did
I think
one.
Wolverine was the first.
Wolverine, dude,
Yeah,
because JJ
Wolverine
was
and-
hilarious.
Yeah, all of us dressed as Wolverine. That was a good time. But yeah, those are the first ones we did with this lineup. So yeah, that was. But I mean, honestly, I do video for a living, and sometimes I'm like, oh man, the guys are gonna get so annoyed with me. I'm wanting to do more videos, but like, I just have such a great time, and I feel like the guys do too. Even though we're not doing the thing we're supposed to be doing as a band, which is playing music, we're just like goofing around in my garage, being being stupid and drinking beers and having a good time. And I mean, honestly, that's like one of my favorite parts of being in this band is just having other guys to be goofy with and do that kind of stuff. So I'm very grateful they're willing to I don't know, play along with it.
Yeah, don't downplay that, man, because I mean you are being creative, right? And like having fun, especially as a group, like that sort of stuff translates to, obviously the video. People get to see that. People kind of like get attracted to that. Yeah, even if it's not what you're supposed to be doing. Like, who the fuck knows what we're supposed to be doing? You guys are supposed to be enjoying yourselves and expressing yourselves creatively, and it sounds like you're doing that with one stone, and then somebody gets to go home and do all of the editing and post production. Isn't that
Yeah, exactly.
right? Just keep all the fun for the rest of the band, and then go home and.
I have to say, I think of all possible instruments, I think that guitars, drums, and saxophone are the coolest looking to play. So when we're filming a video, it's just like, just get out there and do weird things that you would never do when you were actually making a sound with it,
That's
Right.
exactly right. Yeah.
Because you're not like sitting there like, oh man, I've got to nail this sax part for the music video.
Oh yeah. I can think about pretending to shoot it like a rifle,
Yeah,
or whatever,
Yeah. Well, you still got your mouth on it. Yeah.
Yeah. The name of the game makes the other guy.
Wow, that hit you pretty hard, Josh.
My boy just mentioned shooting a rifle, and you said while your mouth is still on it. It's
Okay. Yeah.
I like the dark humor.
Phrasing.
Oh my
Straight
god.
up Full Metal Jacket over.
Yeah.
Oh, good lord!
Too much milk.
The goal at that point, like when we're playing music, the goal is like make your bandmate do this. And so, but the goal when we're doing videos is make your bandmates laugh. Like,
Yeah, that's the
honestly,
whole goal every time.
when I hear them laughing, I'm like, okay, we're on the right path here. Like that's just the thing is, it's really just do the stupidest thing you can and see if you can get a laugh out of the guys in the room. And theoretically, you'll get a laugh out of the people.
Well, I'm sorry. Every music video looks silly to me. Even if someone's doing the most serious music video of all time, when I see the artist, I'm like, this is a silly concept. Like every music video is silly. So what we're doing in general is like it's a wacky as hell thing to be doing musically. Like it's fun. The music's cool. The composers nailed it. It's like, but still, like if we're gonna make a music video of this, like we may as well have as much fun as possible. And there's no real coming off as like, oh, we're gonna look so cool in this. Like
We're gonna look
it's like,
so cool stacking all of our instruments into our band van. Like
yeah, exactly,
yeah.
right?
So cool. Yeah.
Yeah, luckily, like looking cool, having other people think we're cool or whatever. That's never been, or having people think we're like amazing, musicians or any of that kind of stuff. At least for me, has never entered the equation. It's like hopefully having fun and people having fun by proxy.
Yeah.
So the videos is just an extension of that.
We don't care what they think as long as we make them know we are the baddest band on earth.
That's right.
Writing's on the wall.
The gearest band on earth. Oh my god. Oh man. Speaking of bad, we got a couple of really banging badass tunes coming up next. We've got Sonic Spinball Toxic Cave, which is a deep cut I will endorse every time. And then Boomer Kawanger from Mega Man X.
Yes.
Yes, these are both incredible titles. Yeah, why don't we just spin it, folks? Let's.
Bonus stage. You got me this time. You got me to do it. Hey.
Oh my god, amazing. Yeah. So, folks, that was Sonic Spinball, Toxic Cave. Yeah, Toxic Cave. I almost said Toxic Cave Zone, but that everything in Sonic is just a zone of.
It's always a zone, yeah.
The friend zone or whatever. Whatever you got.
Emerald Friend Zone.
Emerald friend zone. That's some toxic masculinity that we don't need to elaborate on too much. But anyways.
Oh my lord, there's so much going on.
It's about Tails. He's literally in the friend zone and he's not upset about it. Like, he likes being in the friend zone.
Yeah, he's Sonic's best friend. Yeah.
All right, we're done with the Sonic fan fiction. We're good. Let's move on.
Wow, nobody was talking about fan fiction until you brought it up there, Josh.
Oh God, no.
Anyways, yeah, we don't have to touch on that. The one thing that we could get arrested for is apparently the bass tone on that one. On that song, we had all original tracks from the original release of Symphony of the Fight, except for the bass. So yeah, I mean, the bass, obviously, in that song, that's something that you have to nail. Yeah, what was the secret sauce to nailing the bass tone?
I played that track so many times. So what kind of jail are we talking about? Like sexy jail? Are we talking about good jail? We like what? Apparently it's bad.
Sexy jail?
Sexy bad. Josh, you've been slamming the sauce over there yourself, man. Oh my. No. Come on.
Sorry, I've been hitting this sapphire. But no, like, all right, so yeah, I guess Cam, you did send me the file being like, hey, is this too much? And I was like, yeah, I don't hate it. But maybe I was at work that day and I wasn't able to like really listen to it. But I mean, I like it enough. I like it. I also like.
Okay.
I like it enough. Print it.
Nothing's out. I hope you still don't hate it.
There's so much going on in that song. There's so many different little variations that happen within it. Like I play it and then it evolves and then it like evolves and evolves. Like it changes. Everything changes around it. So at some point while I'm listening, it's like, okay, it's got fuzz on this part. Sick. But it's like, all right, is there too much on Justin or is there too much on me? And if you're going to ask me, of all people who owns too many failure posters, if there's too much fuzz on the bass, it's always going to be no. There's never enough fuzz on the bass. So to me, I like it, you know? But
I like the public getting to see this in real time of me finding out that Vig is in fact mostly okay with the bass tone.
Yeah, well, okay. All right. Oh God, this is me breaking your heart. All right.
No, this is great. This is all great material for the people at home. But
well, normally you'll send me the track and I'll be like, I'm not going to listen to it right now because I don't have my good headphones. Like I have my Sonys at home for listening to our mixes and stuff. But there are some times where I'm pressed in life and I have things to do, and you'll send me a track and be like, I'll just listen to them on my work headphones. And I'll be like, yeah, sounds fine.
No, that's all good, man. That's all good. I'm for that.
Yeah, you got to listen on any device that you have, really.
The one person who posted that we could go to jail for the bass tone is probably listening to the most bombastic, badass sound system of all time right now. They can point out every frequency and be like, there it is. That's what sucks.
No. That is something I said in the notes. My notes to Josh before we did this is I think we may get arrested for it because it's pretty wild. That's all that happened there.
Well, hey, wild is good to me, man.
Yeah.
I like it.
Wild.
As far as the secret sauce, I don't even remember other than it's just got all the fuzz I could pile on it without, it totally falling apart. And then, of course, octave, because, again, both me and Vig happen to agree that fuzz plus octave equals amazing bass. So it's like the Old Bay seasoning, you just put it on everything. So
Old Base seasoning, yeah.
Old Base seasoning. Amazing bass, how sweet the sound.
Did you use the Sans amp on that one?
I think the original tone is like comes from the Sans Amp tone like that we got when we recorded it.
Yeah, so it's got that nice little stringy hit to it, and then you add everything else to it.
And then yeah, I think honestly one that I was using a lot was the Sun preamp emulation. So that's probably on there too. But yeah, without getting too technical about it, it's a bunch of stuff stacked on there without, taking it too far where it just falls apart.
Well, to you, Cam, it doesn't suck to me.
Thanks,
There you
buddy.
go. All right, to Cam, it doesn't suck. That's beautiful. And then going into Mega Man X, we had newly tracked drums, newly tracked bass, and newly tracked guitar, but old tracked video. And one of the things that I pointed out while we were watching that is some of the solos didn't quite match up, and that I think that also just kind of leads into a bit of a conversation about like where you guys have been, where you are now, and how like some of these arrangements and some of the solos and stuff like that have evolved. Yeah, so like when you were going in and doing new drums and bass and guitar, like what were you kind of going for when you went and changed those things up? It is pretty noticeable with some of the performances, and I think Cameron, you were saying as well that editing kind of helped to cover up some of those differences a little bit. But like, yeah, like what was your approach to really freshening up the Mega Man X song?
Well, I think while we've been on the subject of bass, like the whole or almost all of the album was originally done, as Vic said, like through his pedals and through his amp. What ended up happening though is like the amp, the sound that's coming out of the amp versus that DI signal, it just wasn't the same. Like I've got plenty of recordings of Helvig and his bass sounding amazing. And a lot of the times when I was listening back to the original bass tracks, they were like muddy. So I mean, kind of a lot of this came from we'll just start from scratch with we'll take an amp tone and then a DI tone and just kind of build it up from there. So that's what we were trying to achieve there with a lot of the tracks where we redid bass, and then drums. I'm kind of losing my train of thought here. What was the question?
You're doing a lot of music talk. You're doing a whole lot of music talk.
I mean, we're talking about music. What can I say? But just like the approach to freshening up the Mega Man X track, there were some definite like noticeable differences between the old and the revisited.
Well, and on the drums specifically, I just was like, I overdid the groove originally. Like it was just the pattern had too many notes in it. It was competing with the bass and the guitar. And so finally when I re-recorded, I was like, I'm just going to simplify it. So naturally, when you put the original video on there, it just doesn't match up. So there was lots of at least I don't know if we'll ever put this particular video out because it has so many issues. But there was a lot of like covering up with game footage and that kind of thing. And then the guitar solo, it's actually pretty similar to the original, but I do remember Justin being like, I'm glad to have a second chance at like playing this a little more correctly, because he was like, I really liked what I did. It just could use some sprucing up. So he basically just did something very similar, and it worked great. But yeah, that one was one that had its share of challenges, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out.
Mm-hmm. Were those challenges like since this was previously released, were those challenges just like bugging the shit out of your ears since you released it, or was it just kind of like when you finally went back to it, you're like, oh, we could change this up?
A little bit of both. There were some things where I was zeroed in on this needs to be different and improved. And there were other things that was like, well, while I'm doing this, like there are certain mixes in the original release that I was never unhappy with at all. So there was part of me that's just like, well, what if I didn't touch them? But at that point, like they were too different than the other tracks, and it just didn't make any sense. So honestly, I think Boomer Kawanger falls into that category where I was never unhappy with it, but it's like, well, as long as I'm doing everything else, I got to hit this too to give it a consistent sound.
I think it's also fair to say that when you're revisiting something that you've done years past and you go into it, I mean, we had an entire different album come out in the time. So, and we haven't we weren't playing cons and stuff during COVID and everything. We still aren't now, unfortunately, but we'll get there eventually. It's just how it works.
Please
But
do.
still, when you're not playing these things regularly, the way you record it, like you can sit down and learn a bunch of other stuff. But if you're not rehearsing those things, you don't have them jotted down somewhere. At some point, you'll be like, oh, I have to re-listen to it and relearn it, or I can just kind of fix it here and make it sound better in a way. So it kind of evolves with you. So things just kind of change as you grow as a musician as well. Like Cam being more simplistic is the same way that I would use like less slides on certain songs. Like it's if you listen to anything that I've re-recorded for this album on the original and compared it to the revised, there's always going to be a little spot somewhere that's different that I was just like, oh, I didn't need that, or oh, I want to add that. Mm-hmm. So I guess it just depends on like how much you were listening to it and where you wanted to actually go with it and how you grew as a musician.
Yeah. I think especially like early on, musicians kind of like decide, oh, I'm going to insert this little technique or expression because that's what I love to do. And then like later on, it just feels like you just kind of poured ketchup on everything, and identifying those little ketchup blotches and being like, you know what? No, we can leave that without ketchup, or we can use some mayonnaise or some mustard or what have you, Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah. You can't always use the same sauce. I dig that.
Yeah. Oh man, JJ Minyard. I mean, I want to hear a little bit more from you guys too. JJ, you didn't have a whole lot of like re-recording on this, of course. But Minyard on Mega Man X, you re-recorded your part as well, didn't you?
I'm not sure. What did I do on Mega Man X, Cam?
No, the ones that we redid from scratch, those both had JJ and Minyard on them.
Gotcha.
But the other 8 were with previous members of the band, Chris and Adam.
Yeah, I don't think I touched that one at all.
Well, then neither of you have anything to say. No, just sorry, I say that as JJ's all. I've got something to add.
well, actually, I will say it's you get hired for a new job. It's a big difference between going into a position that was just created and replacing somebody else. So there were times when I would re-record certain things without having heard what the previous saxophone player had played, which there's a certain innocence to that. I think as I'm hearing, especially Josh talk about, his analysis of what he had done and redoing it and coming up with the next thing. And I didn't really have to do, and obviously that's a disadvantage in some ways in that I didn't have that. There's a certain depth to what they're doing that it was my first time recording that, but at the same time, I could kind of go out there and just be like, oh, this is just the song, and I'm just playing what I think it is, and without any sort of preconceived. I wasn't bringing anything to it other than just what I was bringing to it,
Mm-hmm.
Like every player is a little different, I would like to think. I'm sure there's a traditional way to play every instrument, but I'm just not that guy. But I think that we were fair in the idea of anyone who ever came into the Mad Gear. We didn't look at them and say, hey, play this just like they played it. It was like, hey, here's what they played. But as long as you've got the idea of the song and what the composer did originally, like, we want you to have fun. That's the whole point. Have fun. So like, if you've got a little lick you want to do, we want to hear it. Like, that's what we should be doing. I think that's like with the recordings they're on, that's what changes a little bit. Like, I think there's a gigantic difference between Chris Watts and JJ. Like, I've known them both for a while. So, but I like, it's just what it is. You'd have to listen to their playing to know. So it's hard to do this with that album, but still, like, yeah, it's kind of like a theme park for a musician to come in with us and be like, hey, we've transcribed everything. Here it is. Have fun.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That flexibility certainly adds to the tenacity of a band too, especially when you have rotating members and stuff like that, just to make it a little bit more welcoming and creatively open for new people to come on board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, coming up next, we got a couple of Mario tracks that are all fresh. So JJ and Minyard, you guys should both have plenty to say about the next couple tracks.
Yes.
Those two tracks being the castle theme from Super Mario World and Dire Dire Docks from Super Mario 64. Yeah, why don't we let
Somebody else say something for a change.
JJ's got a mouthful of milk.
Let's go.
Listen.
Wow. Drink milk.
That's about to get it.
Josh is about to spit milk.
Drink milk.
Oh my god, that was amazing. Two very contrasting tracks from the same video game franchise, and all completely redone. New tracks from everybody, new lineup. Everything sounds beautiful, crisp. I mean, Subcastle, the castle theme, Super Mario World, one of my personal favorites. You guys did it a lot of justice. Very very crushing, and excellent performances and tone all around. Yeah, all right. Well, now we get to hear from JJ and Minyard. Give us your thoughts on Subcastle. Is that just like a dummy, cool and difficult song, or what?
It's just fun to play. I mean, honestly, Koji Kondo is the one name that I think most people know if you know the name of a video game composer.
Right.
And I don't think there's anybody. I don't think there are too many people out there that really don't know that tune. And so it's just super fun. And the way that it builds the castle theme, the way that it builds towards the end and becomes just such a hard, thing. It's just like it's really really great, and it's just you can't play it. We did multiple takes, and you just can't do it without like getting excited. It's just it's a really really good one.
Which do you think is more iconic? Do you think this is the SNES castle theme, right? Do you think it's more iconic than the original? Because
just the baby. More iconic? I don't know.
Recognizable, but I feel like more people are going to get hyped about the SNES one, right? It's the strings that build at the beginning.
Well, it's so think about what you do at the beginning of it, man. You're like dude. I look over at you while I'm playing just like the most rudimentary bass notes, but I look over you and you're just like do a sweep, and then it's just stabs. It's just stabs the whole time, dude. And I'm just like, I'm looking at you just being like, focused.
I'm going, it's from the wrist. It's from the wrist.
That's where the overlap is with playing piano and playing video games, is occasionally you're just spamming the shit out of it. You're just as hard as you can.
It's the same concept.
It's the same thing. Yeah. They're all buttons.
Invented the turbo keyboard, so maybe one day.
Yeah. I think it's probably, without a doubt, too. I'm probably playing the most video games of anybody in the band. Is that probably fair to say?
No, I disagree.
Oh, okay. Well,
wow.
How many? Let's stick to the music. We'll talk about this in a minute. But I want to know how you feel about, Josh, like how you feel about recording this one, because I feel like this is one of the most strenuous ones that you have with us.
Yeah, it's difficult. That opening part, especially me and Justin locking in on those quick 16th notes, 8th notes, whatever you want to call them. They're fast, whatever they are. I don't know that we didn't really pull it off perfectly, but it's more than passable. And I think it's a vibe either way. It's really tense, right? Like that's what it's supposed to be, is a tense moment before you get that real like dark string part coming in or whatever, and just the drums, the floor tom, and
So I don't mean anything wrong when I say this, because I love Adam Ford so much, our previous keyboard player, but getting to see Manyard play with us, the way he's just adapted to it and the way he learns, and he'll just sit there and we'll be just jamming and be like, oh wait, he's playing like this. What if I did it like in this mode instead and gave it like a different feel? Like, it's so refreshing to have that. But what people can't see, from at least what I can see from the little screens we have, Manyard's forearms are like Popeye. Like this dude, like he's just like, I swear he could do this for like 8 hours a day. Like he's just like he's ripped on the keys. Like, it is sick to watch. Like, it is a sight to see.
Thanks, Josh.
It's been awesome playing with this guy. So
Yeah,
Likewise.
just for brief history, Minyard and I have known each other since middle school. So we're talking like, 1997-ish.
Mhm.
And Minyard and I could always play we could play a lot of the same instruments. It's just that he had the audacity to play all of them better than I could.
Is that why you became a drummer?
He's a drummer too.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
He's a drummist. The dude's a drummist.
First.
He's primarily a drummer. And we have very different styles, mostly in that I play very few notes. But like, yeah, there are definitely times where I've thought to myself, this might sound better if Minyard were playing drums, even though he's not the drummer of this band. But yeah,
I disagree, but
one last.
Minyard is a true musician, and we all respect the hell out of him, and we're lucky to have him. And then along with that, JJ bringing like just screaming saxophone to this, just like searing, boiling lava. I mean, he told me when he was first
some lava there.
getting started, like doing rehearsals that he was going to be there for and everything, that he was like playing this one and getting like super stoked on it, even though, like, for obvious reasons, he's a saxophone player. JJ, I don't want to speak for you, but I don't think you've been in a lot of heavy bands per se.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
No. Yeah, not a lot of anything hard rock. Honestly, this is kind of a first for me.
So out of his wheelhouse a little bit, but for him to say like, "Oh, I got so pumped playing this," like really meant a lot. And I'm like, now you know what the hard rock feels like, dude. And
It's the type of music where you get pumped.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, both of them brought the fire, both to this and Dire Docs. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to second the thing about Minyard. I will say, as someone with a degree in piano, it's the first time I've ever joined a band that had a better piano player than me. And I'm like, same thing as Cameron. I'm like, you know what? I'll just play the saxophone.
I would like to add the one final thing. It is funny to me that it feels with this band that it came full circle. If you actually look up our band page on YouTube and look up our short film that we did years and years ago with Ken and Giles' theme from Street Fighter, you will see Josh with us playing auxiliary drums. And that was actually the first time I ever met him. So when he was there that day and it happened, it was like, all right, cool, this dude's cool. And then suddenly Cam was like, hey, kind of want to bring him in the band. I was like, yeah, let's do that. That sounds sick.
That was such a fun time. Ever since we did that, I've wanted to be in the band.
Hey, dreams come true, baby.
Yeah.
Dreams come true.
And Ken and I talked about it for years. We talked about it on and off for years, but it was always just this like, I'm in Nashville, and for the most part, everybody else is in Murfreesboro. At least they've been in Murfreesboro historically. Now JJ's kind of closer to me.
Dude, we're neighbors. Come on.
Yeah. So, now we're waiting for Cameron to move up here. I suppose.
Exactly.
That's not happening.
I used to think I was the last person to move from Murfreesboro to Nashville, and now I'm like, oh yeah, there are 4 people who haven't moved to Nashville yet, and I'm going to join a band with them.
Yeah. Well, we may meet at your place now. It's cool.
Yeah. One thing I will say, I didn't know about that auxiliary percussion thing. I didn't know you guys knew each other in middle school. That's really cool. I like the full circle identity of this band now, because I don't know if Minyard or Helvig, I don't know how much y'all know this, but like Cam and I talked about doing a rock and roll video game band in like 2008 when we were
Bitter 16.
Nice.
Yeah, it was old school, and I actually knew Josh Helvig at the time, but not from playing music with him, just from being
just
around
other parties together.
Yeah, we just went to parties, went to the same house shows. That was kind of cool. I didn't even know that this guy that I knew from college, Cam, had made this band that we had talked about until probably a couple of years after the band had formed, and I think we ran into each other somewhere, and you said, "Hey, you should check this out." And then I vaguely remember going online and being like, "Yeah, this is it. This is what we talked about. Like, you're really doing it. And this is awesome." And then, more years after that, he called me and said, "We need you to come be sexy and horny."
And then you looked at him and said, "This man, his hair is exactly the same."
Yeah, this is the same guy,
AJ,
basically identical.
Oh my god! Just as an aside, sorry, JJ, are you just like drinking your entire liquor cabinet tonight? I've seen. I don't think you've like pulled up like the same beverage twice all evening. What?
Wait, hold on. That's Gatorade. That's Gatorade. All right, thank God. All right, thank God. For some reason, I thought he just pulled up a bottle of sriracha.
That's what the castle theme from Super Mario World does to me. It makes me want to chug sriracha.
Oh, all right. Well, sweet.
Thank you for bringing us back, JJ. That is amazing. Speaking of the castle theme, excellent job on the video there. You guys looked like you all had a lot of fun in green screen suits. It must be really hard to play your instruments or to see at all.
No, Josh, what was hard about the green man suits is that playing your instrument, like you can get there enough, but the problem was that the two that we shared, one was too small for JJ and one was way too big for Maynard. So.
Yeah. And it was wet by the time I put it on too.
Oh, sweat. Dude, it was hot.
Oh my god.
It was hot.
Disgusting.
breath.
I definitely had to go last because I had to put. I'm the only one who, how do we say this? Uses his mouth in this band to play this instrument. So when y'all are all talking about, sit around and drink beer and all this, and I'm like, oh, I wish. But I'm the only one who can't do that stuff. I keep water there and drink a beer and then rinse. But no, in this case, I have to say I did put the mouthpiece and some green fabric into my mouth to make that happen. And you can see it in the video. I've noticed. You can
noticeable.
See the mouthpiece is
noticeable.
The things we do. The things we do to bring you.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, to become the Predator, basically, in his invisible suit.
There were two big mistakes, I will say, with the production of that video, and that I didn't notice until later. One is that Minyard should have been filmed from the side because his hands are in front of him, so you don't see his hands. I was like, I didn't think of that. Crap.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing is that the castle background we used was a very similar color to the actual castle like textures in the game. So when I'm putting this footage on top of that green screen footage, I was like, this sucks. And that's why there's so much static on everything, at least
so that you can tell the difference.
It has to look different. Otherwise, it's just like a weird silhouette moving around with a floating guitar or whatever. So I think with every video we've ever made, pretty much there was like 2 or 3 things I just didn't think of. Granted, no one ever notices this stuff or cares, but it's just funny because it's always a learning thing. Like just experimenting with stuff and then being later on saying, well, like if I did it again, I would do this, and this differently. But they usually work out.
Yeah. Well, that mistake specifically you could use if you ever cover the ghost house from Super Mario World, because then it will just be instruments floating around, right?
Perfect.
Yeah, legit.
Yeah.
Only when you're not looking, though.
Oh.
Right. Yeah. The video there's only motion on the video when you're not watching it. There's a great way to get views or not views.
The worst way to get. The best way to get viewers, the worst way to get seen.
I was gonna say, Cam, if you can somehow edit a video that way, we will sing your praises.
The video only plays when you're not looking at it. I think that's maybe the best idea ever this band has ever come up with, or us as a group here, the 5 of us. So yeah.
Well, all you have to do is publish a motionless video and say that.
Yeah.
They will
It's
never
like a
know.
ring with
Done.
it's like a ring with a different algorithm, basically.
Incredible.
Oh my god. Well, we've had a wonderful time talking about Castle Theme. Dire Docs. I have a note here that this was definitely like the most different from the original. So this is the most revisited of Symphony of the Fight revisited. Yeah. So what made it so different, and why did you do it so differently?
Well, I will say the arrangement is very similar, but I feel like the vibe, I feel like I'm overusing that word tonight maybe, but the vibe just got so different because one thing, like, first of all, I'm in love with Mellotrons and electric, like Rhodes pianos, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I've always, for better or for worse, and trying to find ways to shoehorn that kind of stuff in. And so basically, we recorded it with very similar tones to what we had originally, which is that kind of like watery, chorusy piano, which is, very similar to the original version of Dire Docs. And then eventually I was like, guys, I feel like I'm going to regret it if we don't at least try a Rhodes sound. And so if I remember correctly, JJ, your Korg keyboard, right? That had some really great...
Yeah. The SV1, which the SV and the SV1 stands for stage vintage. It's basically made to emulate, those sounds, whirly sounds, and those, just EP sounds from the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so once we started doing that and I got all the tracks home and I was making decisions on how to record the drums and everything, it was like, well, this needs to go in a more Led Zeppelin-y direction now, because that electric piano like kind of dictated something that was a little more vintage. And so like I use a drum miking technique that was big with, John Bonham stuff. I was trying to like treat the bass a little more, old school, and it just kind of ended up having like a way less over the top production, even though it was very like stylized. Like it's not as like crushed and compressed as a lot of the other things on here, and it's like breathes, and it's got a very like steady build to it. So I was just really happy with it, and anyone I've told to listen to it, I've just been like, lay on your bed, put the headphones on, and just zone out, because I feel like it kind of takes you on a journey, and I'm really stoked on it.
A very nostalgic journey.
Yes.
Yeah, it is very relaxing. I will say the nostalgia comes back to bite me, because when I'm watching that video, I just get so frustrated at that level. Like that was one of those levels that had so many of the stars or whatever in that level were like the ones that you just have to repeat over and over and over for days to get.
And I did, and I can play that level in my sleep now.
Yeah, I know I got them all at one point, but there's one where there's like a huge cage that's like an elevator shaft. And the only way to get the star is you've got to wait till the water's all the way at the top, and you got to trigger something. You got to swim down and then go in and then come back up. I don't remember all the details, but like I vividly have memories of just.
I know what you're talking about. I can't tell you what world it is, but it's the painting you go through that has the water bug on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's that one. That's the one from the.
Because it's the multi-tilt. It haunts me a little bit too.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's that wet, dry world.
Wet, dry world, man.
Wet, dry world. We get some.
My world.
You're gonna wet your fries.
I feel like we're coming full circle here.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved how you said, "Oh, it breathes," and I was like, "It's an underwater level."
I want to point out. Sorry, I had to leave for a second. I want to point out that Josh brought in a sound to this new mix that the keys on it, man, are just, because they're originally, I think we went for the closest thing possible to what would the original song sound like with the original like recording.
Mm-hmm.
With this, I think you went with like a Rhodes mix, right?
That's all Cam though, man. Like I'm showing up most of the time trying to sound like the track.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I did in this case. I think I showed up with like 3 or 4 different sounds that I was like, these are all kind of like hitting the vibe of the original track, and Cam was almost immediately like, like let's.
I don't know. I was so used to like a chorusy kind of just like, hey, here's a keyboard with like chorus on it, not quite an organ, but like it's just when you hear the opening to Dire Docks, it's like this Rhodes tone, man, and once I hear it, I was like, ooh, that's sexy. Like it feels right. It feels good, and it like sets me up to be like, I want to play bass to this really bad. So.
Well, you did, buddy.
And then you did, yeah.
Everybody
It's also one of the few songs I get like a little bass solo part in it, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. So
yeah, everybody in the world who hears that track wants to play bass on it, so it's kind of a dick move for you to say that.
Well, maybe everyone in the world who wants to do it should just do it. We've done it.
Right.
Everybody wants to be you, and there's no way to do that.
Wow,
I don't know how to make that happen. I do have a question, Cam. Did you actually put any of the other sounds in there layered in behind it, or was it pure Rhodes? The Yamaha keyboard that I know we recorded.
Thought about having that stuff in and adding it later, but it just worked the way it was, and it was one of those things. Let's not put too much sauce on it. Like this one was the one I was like, I'm not gonna be stupid about this one. Like I'm gonna like let it be what it wants to be, and not try to again just come in with my hinds squirting all over the place.
Wow.
Too much dip on the chip. Oh gosh.
Overcoming with ketchup, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're still coming full circle.
Yeah. Still overcoming full circle. Shall we move on? Do we want to just like segue into some more music so we don't have to keep talking?
Yeah, let's get it. Let's get it.
Yeah,
We're gonna end up
it.
like when Mario runs out of oxygen and he just floats lifeless in that level. That's the
Are
most
you
trauma-
talking about Sonic?
No. But in that level, we're watching in that video. If you run out of air, Mario just like goes limp and just floats. It's very disturbing for a PG rated game. Yeah.
Ben is dead.
Oh my god. All right.
Ben drowned.
I'm going to take over. We're going to move on to our next couple of tracks here, folks. We've got coming up next Battletoads Ragnarok and Gremlins. Yeah, really love these two. Let's
Party!
Let's listen.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. We may or may not have two more Joshes join us. Oh, there we go. There's
There-
one.
We're up. One.
Sorry. I gotta give
This is a very
I gotta give big ups to Elliot Stocky. Thank you for this beer. It's delicious.
Yay, Elliot!
yeah. But you should be sorry. This is a very formal event that we're having here, and we're all professionals taking each other seriously.
It hasn't gone rails multiple times already.
Oh God, I feel so bad now.
Oh man. Well, we heard first of all Battletoads, and you know the notes that I have here is that this is probably like the most Mad Geary thing. We had retracked bass and drums. Honestly, I don't know what else you might have even needed to do because yeah, like the sound on that one is very tight, very crisp, very rock and grungy a little bit too. Yeah, you guys nailed it. No notes, but I'm sure you guys will have something to say about it.
This was one of the I think the only one where Minyard added a little bit of keys on top of what we already had
and stuff, right? Like,
of course, that and some of the lead lines and stuff. And it, in my opinion, really came together at that point. Like it just kind of helped it gel a little bit. And then like the groove is just it's the sickest. It's like the most like strutting. I'm gonna walk through a brick wall. Like I'm not even gonna run through a brick wall. I'm gonna walk through it because I'm so tough right now. It's just the brick wall is gonna get out of my way.
Yeah.
Like it just feels so good to me. This one. So yeah.
No, that's amazing. It's super tight. Yeah, I don't even know what else to add about it. It just sounds fucking amazing.
I think redoing the bass was a good call for this one because again, I think it was one of those like this was redoing it with the new interface that Cam had. So it gave us a little more free play of like what we wanted to actually sound like rather than what like I had to offer with gear. He had new things that we could. So I think it's a more crisp tone and it really gets on the like, I think in this way, when you really listen to it, you're like really on the click. I think it solidifies where the bass should actually be in the mix. So especially since I got to like record to like what Justin was doing and everything. Mm-hmm. So, in musical terms, it means a lot more. In layman terms, it's I had something else to follow, so it made it easier.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there was only a couple that were like this, but it was again the ones from this first batch that we did. So Turtles in Time, Gremlins, and oh wait, no, Battletoads wasn't part of the first one. Sorry,
it wasn't.
So anyway, all that is to say, I had DI guitar tracks, and DI guitar tracks are like you can do whatever you want with them. You reamp it and make it sound how you want. And I think I just ran these through like Marshall emulations or something, and it was just stadium rock grungy kind of sound, and it worked. And yeah, going along with the bass stuff, like we just started from scratch there and got something a little crisper, and it just worked out great. Again, I'm just stoked on how this one turned out.
Yeah, definitely. It feels like it's just a little bit more up to date. Nothing wrong with the first iteration necessarily, but just like feels like it's modern Mad Gear, 100%. Yep. And then we had Gremlins, which is a bit of a deep cut, but that soundtrack is amazing, and you guys did a great one. And this is all original tracks on this one as well. The only one, I'm told. What is, I thought we had like some new tracks on a lot of the other ones, right?
Yes.
How
Yeah.
sorry, maybe I'm confused. How does this differ?
Well, it just sounded like just bringing it all up, and hearing it all together. I was like, I don't hear anything that needs to be radically different. And that's what the problem I was running into with a lot of the tracks is like, well, most of this works, but like it's just not quite jiving. And so I'd redo the drums and it would solve that problem. Or redo, we'd get the new bass in and it would solve the problem. This one, it was just like, this is a nasty tune and it just needs to be nasty. And so having drums that weren't like necessarily the way I would do them now, it still worked, and it was still, like I said, it just kind of went towards the vibe. So everything on this is kind of, I would say probably the grungiest on the album. Like everything's got a lot of distortion and stuff on it, and I feel like that lent itself to the composition, which is, in my mind, that's how it sounds anyway. And yeah, like you said, this is a great soundtrack. All the Sunsoft stuff is amazing. So this is no exception to that.
To chime in on what Cam said though, like, so this is all like original musicians just remixed, right?
Yeah.
So there are certain things that you'll find that there was a recording issue. And this, we didn't find a recording issue, we found a mixing issue. So rather than re-record something, we took everything and just said, oh, we'll just remix it. Mm-hmm. So that's, you just basically amplify something or bring something else down. That's really all it is. Yeah. Like everyone crushed it that day. If you go back and listen to the original Gremlins track, I think it's still like grunge rock, disgusting. Like it sounds great. Mm-hmm. It sounds better now. But that's just because we took the original stems of the original files, like sound files, and Cam just rearranged them to where they really needed to be, so you could actually hear certain instruments a little bit better. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Well, I'm really curious, especially since this is the only one on the album with all original tracks. I want to know kind of like where the band sits with this arrangements now, and what is the difference playing it and hearing you guys' like live performance of this track nowadays? Like, does it feel different from those dirty grungy days?
Do you mean Gremlins specifically, or any song?
Gremlins specifically, because we've just heard original band members all the way. I kind of want to get a little sneak peek of what that's like to hear that from the new lineup these days.
But
boys,
we have not played this one. And
I was going to ask JJ, have you even heard that song before?
I have done a, what you might call nominal obligatory listen through of the whole album, but that was the only time I've ever heard that. Actually, I never played the game, so to this day.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with the. Is it NES?
It's
NES.
Yeah.
It's on the NES.
I know the game, but I wasn't familiar with the music. Is it not from the movie?
No.
Oh, okay. I hate when they do that. Just use the movie music. I don't know. You got the license.
So I feel like it's fair to say in this moment that like, I don't think Cam has some like special announcement coming up about anything. Like when JJ and Minyard joined the band, like we were thinking like, all right, cool, we're gonna do new music. So we have a good handful of songs that we've been working on that we want to cover and do things with and like work with. But it just got to a point where Cam was like, hey, what if we got this album up to standard and then we recorded things for that? So, yeah, this is one of those tracks that these guys have never, ever played on with me, ever. I've never played this track with them.
We will eventually.
Oh, we're gonna.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sexy as hell. But it's just one of those things where it's like we wanted to revisit this and like get it to like sound like where we really wanted it, and then I think what we come out with next year is going to be probably more solidified along this level, but all new tracks. It won't be anything we've ever revisited. We're not revisiting it again. Like it's all. We can't do a revisit. You can't have a
No.
Like, yeah, you can't do it. You can't have a Resident Evil again.
Resident Evil.
So I don't know. So, but it was weird to have.
Fantasy?
It was weird to have this one remix and just be like, oh, I like it better to a certain degree, but I also still enjoy the original version of it. This is the one song on this album where I'm very indifferent on, I think.
Okay.
But it's also just because they're not on it, and we're not doing like a lot of like remixes and stuff on. So that's just what it is.
Yeah.
But one day I'm going to make Josh Minyard put on a weird little mask and play keys while I'm just slapping bass at the Gremlins theme.
Cool.
I don't think he needs a mask. He just needs the ears.
How dare you, sir? He's a handsome man.
You don't think Mogwais are handsome?
No, I don't.
Don't tell him that before midnight.
Yeah, there you go.
Is that how it works? I thought it was water.
After midnight.
Oh, no. Don't get
Water
him
makes
wet.
them reproduce. Feeding them
Don't
after
get 'em-
midnight makes them turn.
Oh, getting them wet makes them reproduce.
That's wow. We have come full circle again.
We have come full circle again.
To the origins of life, all the way back around.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Okay. Wow. Well, that's as good a segue as any into getting into the last two tracks that we have on this revisitation of Symphony of the Fight. I almost said Symphony of the Night because that is one of the tracks that we'll be listening to. But before we get to that, we're going to hear Sonic 2's Mystic Cave Zone. Hell yeah. And finishing off with the title track, as it were, Castlevania Symphony of the Night's Dracula's Castle. Yeah, why don't we do it, folks? Let's
listen.
Marty.
Say it. You all say it. Let's listen.
Rock.
Say it.
Let's rock.
Listen.
No, you all say it. Let's listen.
Okay, give us a let's again. Give us a let's again.
all right. Let's
Listen.
Listen.
Oh.
Thank you, Cam.
my God. That is an amazing way to end the album. Beautiful video. Excellent work. Yeah, folks, we've got, we had Sonic 2 Mystic Cave Zone and Castlevania Symphony of the Night. What a banger. I mean, that the material you're working with there is absolutely incredible anyways, but what you've done with it is just beautiful. So we have some notes here. Apparently, someone has found a new appreciation for Mystic Cave Zone. Cameron, I'm guessing that's you, buddy.
I've told everyone in the band this at some point or another. It was my least favorite selection, maybe that we'd ever done. Definitely in my top like three, my lower three, however you want to look at it. So when it came to remixing it, I was like, what if I just left it off? Wonder what would happen then.
Off the album, off of Revisited altogether. Wow.
The thought crossed my mind.
Hey Cam, whose pick was that?
I don't remember.
It was mine, you mother.
Ow.
So once I got like dove into it and actually like got some new drums on it, I was like, this can work. Okay, I'm on board. So it hasn't moved up to my favorite or anything, but it did remind me like the composition on it is wacky in the best way, and of course those like circus themes they're ridiculous, but again like it just works. So I'm glad, patting myself on the back here. I'm glad I stuck with it. Good job, me.
Yeah, I'm glad I told you to do it.
But that one worked out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. We just had some new drums on that, and that's all it took.
Yep. Sometimes that's all you need.
Nice. And then, of course, oh my God, Symphony of the Night, Dracula's Castle. What a banger. What an arrangement. Yeah, and we had some new drums and bass. Otherwise, everything's just remixed, retooled, reworked to make it sound as crisp as it does. And that video is just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I noticed the same wall from the subcastle. Oh my God, that
you did.
Is that wall like a
you did
picture in somebody's house or like,
no? All right. So fun fact. Most of the things that we do so we normally do rehearsals and like learning new songs over at JJ's house now. JJ, raise your hand. There we go.
Very basic.
But when we're doing music videos, Cam's completely in control. And we will sometimes find a location to do it, and that's in a lot of our older videos. But some of our newer ones, like Cam's just like, I've got this backdrop. So I noticed it too. I was like, we're doing castle theme with the same backdrop we used for like, it's really, really funny to me, but it kind of worked out in a way because they're completely different. They're different moods and they're different like aesthetics and all that. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I don't think I'm ever going to live down just Justin just lifting the weight while he's playing guitar. Like, cause like, man, I'm never gonna be that cool. I'm never gonna be that cool. But most of the things we do are at Cam's house.
Except for your blonde pixie hair in this video, you look like a freaking elf from Tolkien.
Oh, dude, I forgot about that.
Yeah, you definitely look amazing.
It's back when I still had green hair. Yeah. I don't have any anymore.
It was a moment.
So, that's a choice.
Well, hey, might come back. Who knows?
Whoa. Oh man.
But yeah, it's like my garage studio, which is really just a garage where you throw up a backdrop every once in a while. And for the Bad Dudes video, we just did it against the garage door. So
yeah,
I'm quickly running out of pieces of videos.
It honestly, I don't think we've used about 10% of Cam's house for music videos yet. So
I don't know.
All right, so
Wolverine was in the.
we've got two sides of the garage. So we got the whole garage. We got one side of the living room. So we got one half of the living room right now. There's still another 75% of that house we can just nail right now.
There's that whole little studio area that that y'all recorded a bunch of those videos on. It makes you look like a hard rock NPR tiny desktop kind of thing. And but I've recorded in there when I've gone over to retract some stuff, but I've never been in a music video in that particular space. But yeah, the Wolverine video in the living room moving the couches, that was pretty amazing.
Dude, I'm sorry. I still think the Wolverine video is still one of my favorites because it's the one thing that's like, all right, don't hate me for this, fellas.
Oh God.
Oh boy.
But it is the one music video, and like if I were actually really like hey, I'm really interested in this woman, I'm never gonna show her that video.
right. I agree with that. It was the first video I was in, and I went home and I was like, I'm going to show my wife the second video that I made.
Dude. Me is fucking like X-Men Logan, like cut off sleeves with a cigar in my mouth with my like fake chops like sewn to like glued to my face. Come on, dude. No.
I feel like in that one I did a lot more of the like when we're doing the videos, you can't actually, it's very difficult to really play a saxophone when you're like upside down, but I did a lot of the like turning up or just moving around in weird ways with a saxophone.
Honestly, the only one who got away with that, and I know this doesn't pertain to what we just watched, but like, again, if you like do go and look at like our past music videos, like on YouTube or anything, if you look up like Wolverine from Cam, what is it? Marvel versus Capcom 3, right?
Yeah.
Wolverine's theme.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, you get to see Josh, you get to see Minyard in his skivvies with a fucking mixing bowl on his head with a red dot taped to it. And it just makes me so happy. Like, that is living your life right there.
Yeah,
like that's good. Yeah. Oh,
I'm not wearing a lot of clothes in that video, but Minyard is wearing way fewer square inches of clothing.
Trained jazz musician.
I did come home and show the video to my wife. She thought it was
Thank
great.
God. I was about to say, trained jazz musician, just broken down into a little BGM girl. Yeah, dance for me more. That's what Cam does to us. He just goes like, dance.
I mean,
all happy to do it.
Can this be the stupidest thing we've ever done? Let's make this the stupidest thing we've ever done. And I feel like, know, sometimes I don't know how proud I should be, but we have topped ourselves multiple times of doing the stupidest possible thing we could in that moment. So Wolverine, another example of that. And to bring it back, the Castlevania video is a very good example of just being as stupid as we could be. And I do need to give a shout out to the former keyboard player Adam, because every video we ever did, Adam brought.
Dude, everything Adam did had us. Like, Cam would be trying to film, we'd be brought to tears laughing. Like, he'd just be there sprinkling the keyboard. Like, it would be hilarious.
So that's one thing I always make sure I mention about Adam, and especially in that video where it's very much on display. Like, he would always bring it to those shoots. I mean, but yeah, the video that's one I look back on fondly because we had a great time making it, and it's just extremely silly. And
I want to say one more thing about it. That day, I think this came up in the last one of the last interviews we had about it too. But it was really funny that Cam said, "Show up gothic." for, Alucard's theme, like show up for Alucard's theme, Gothic. And he didn't think Gothic, he thought goth. So we all showed up and just like all black, ready to be like robed up. But he showed up in a black vest with his hair done like flock of seagulls. Like, and it was just, dude, the second he got there, I was like, oh no, we can't beat this. We can't, this is the best thing that's gonna happen today. That's why you see him and he's got like the eyeliner on and his hair is all crazy. He's just like, he thought he thought goth, not gothic.
Right.
And it's amazing. I love it so much.
Legendary. Oh my god. Well, folks, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you very much for revisiting Symphony of the Fight. I think you guys knocked it out of the park. We did hear mention earlier of the new formation, working on some tracks. So can we perhaps expect a release soon in the future of things that you are perhaps visiting for the first time?
The future plans are very much nebulous at the moment. I'll just put it that way.
There we go. Yeah, you don't
Wow.
need to get to anything at the moment. But nevertheless, this is awesome. This album is out on Bandcamp. Is it on Bandcamp exclusively?
Yes.
All
but
right.
also, if you just send me a message, I'll just, you can get it that way too. I don't know.
Just slide into Cameron's DMs. He'll
There
shoot
you
you his fucking... he'll shoot you the album. That's amazing.
comment on my live journal.
Oh my god. Wow. I hope my live journal has been deleted because there's some stuff there that I would not want revisited. Awesome. Well, you guys have been a lot of fun to talk to. Thank you everybody in chat for coming in and checking this out with us, enjoying it with us. It's been a rad
Thank you
time.
guys.
As far as what's coming up next here on Bonus Stage, next week we are going to be having Metal K, who's an artist from South America. He's going to be on to release his new album called Robot Masters, all featuring bosses from the Mega Man series. That should be a really good time. And
Nice.
then the week after that, we've got the VGM Con Charity Album Volume 4. This is the 4th annual charity album jam that they've done at VGM Con, and we're going to be breaking that down and listening to that as well. That's happening at the same time, same place, Thursdays around 6 p.m. We had 6:30 today to accommodate these fine gentlemen, but usually 6 p.m., so we'll see you there next week for that. Otherwise, I'm just going to turn on some sweet house tunes, and we can pick a raid target if you folks still want to be on Twitch. But otherwise, everybody, thank you so much for being here. We'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thanks.